Hot A Capricorn, welcome to Navajo Sage Weaver Tarot's channel. I am excited to do your reading today. I've combined several different decks and already pre-shuffled and laid out the storyline of the tarot deck. I am going to pull a couple cards from the Oracle Wisdom of Elder and the Divine of Feathers. But before we do that, just want to say thank you for liking and subscribing and visiting my channel. I appreciate it and bless you with lots of good energy. All right, so let's start off with shaking the rattle to move any stagnation energy. All right, so let's give this a little shuffle and cut the deck in half. And we have 22 summer activation. And then we have 31 two spirits balance. Oh, geez. Card for Capricorn. One card for Capricorn. Kingfisher. Prosperity is flowing. Have faith that you will receive it in the perfect form. I'm going to read from the Wisdom of Elder book. 22. So 22, summer activation. As the day becomes longer and brighter, an energy shift accompanies. The warm skies above summer is found in the south direction of the medicine wheel and brings with its boundless energy and the yearning to do and achieve more. Much like the long summer nights of youth, this time of the year brings a palpable sense of enthusiasm, which allows for an infusion of energy into long-standing goals and projects. This time highlights a desire of focus on the physical aspect of life and gives way for the activation of healthier ways of being. Exercise and physically active activities are enthusiasm emphasized right now. Sorry. And there is a nudge from spirit world to act on any undertaking you might have recently put off. Now it's time to make your dream a reality and to take steps towards the future you have envisioned for yourself. So the warm breeze brings with it all the extra associated with summer months, extra sunshine, extra time, extra excitement in life. There's also a desire to take action. Actively put effort into your goal and bring ideas into physical reality. Today is a great day to map a way to continually work towards your dream and manifest them into reality, whether with a vision board, new health regiments, or lists to-do lists. Lists to-dos. 31. 31. Uh, Two spirits, balance, tradition. Traditionally, many indigenous culture recognize and held people who encompass both masculine and feminine trait in higher regards. Their worth honor within the community, often considered sacred and divine. Two-spirit people have exist since the beginning of time, and the reclaiming umbrella term, which chose to help bridge understanding of gender and sexuality in Indigenous and Western identity. This has been a way for Indigenous people to educate others and embrace traditional teaching, unifying diversity, spirituality, expression throughout various Indigenous language. It is important to note that Two-Spirit is culturally specific for Indigenous people and should not be used by a non-Indigenous individual to identify themselves. However, these teachings embody elements of the sacred traditions and bring forth an understanding that we should honor Two-Spirit individuals, celebrate unique perspectives, and similarly honor the masculine and feminine energy that exists within all of us. There's a call to find balance within ourselves to cherish the masculine and feminine aspect of the creator and to respect the integrate both the intellect and emotional aspect of our being. The Two Spirit card, uh, it is an opportunity to celebrate yourself or someone you love who identifies as a member of the LGBTQ2 plus community. Perhaps you need to fully accept aspects of your masculine and feminine or your intellect and emotional state of being, finding balance in the middle. Love all that you are and embrace all the expressive, beauty, unique, and colorful people who reside here on Mother Earth of all genders, identity, and sexual preference. It is only through unconditional love of self and others that we can create a more loving and peaceful world. We will see
right.
what the tarot uh, story is here. And um, Capricorn, you are bringing in the energy of the King of Pentacles. You're having steady progress and dedication. Um, the King of Pentacles is somebody who's disciplined, protecting what is yours. You know, you're that achiever here. And then uh, we run into the energy of the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is maybe um, you're, you know, when you're by yourself, right? Or um, when your mind starts thinking, right? It starts creating these illusional stories and making you think in a way that is not real, right? And it's stressing you out. And, and sometimes our mind, tends to play tricks like that, unfortunately, Um, so, something that's, creating anxiety, through your mind, causing stress, allowing your mind to create illusions, right? And then you have, again, the the Hand of Swords here, this is just letting you know that you know, highlighting, right? It's really bringing out that you need to rest, and look within yourself, have that introspectrum, you know, and release, those things that no longer need. It's sometimes, you know, um, maybe, feeling like this is your rock bottom, right? Feeling betrayal, you know, maybe challenges of closure, um, and um, learning how to move forward, right? With the Nine of Wands here. And, you know, the 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 Nine of Wands energy is reminding us the persistence and, you know, when you're facing it, right? You're protecting now what what was, you got them, they had the spirit came in, had to make a highlight of it, and then you had to order it and nicely, when you started seeing growth in them. And so now you're protecting it. And then, with the moon energy here, you're you're looking past the illusion, right? You're finding uh because you're asking you ask for help, you know, because you're in this bringing in this King of Pentacles energy, you know, because you found discipline and then learn learned it somewhere and you worked with the energy and now you can ask for help. And then you have the Three of Wands. This energy is that, you know, now that you got it all situated, you're preparing it, you're looking at it and saying, how can I uh um take these Three of Wands here and um how can I take my wands and move it forward in a way that can uh help me, right? And so you are planning and preparing for the future because you saw something in these swords here, and now you're sitting down somewhere in your studies uh with the Three of Pentacles, communicating, maybe writing, uh maybe some sort of commitment that's caused hard work, right? Um, so the Three of Pentacles So whatever you're doing is hard work here, you know, and now, when you're planning it, now you have to put the action in it. So Capricorn, the King of Pentacles energy comes in, and this King of Pentacles, right, um, is repeated at the beginning. So you're bringing this energy now, like you were sitting on this throne with the pentacles here. Now spirit is, you know, protecting you with this full energy, right? And, you're looking at it, you're coming in and in from a different perspective because you had to, right? Because it was just, you had this perspective here, right? And then you had to discombobulate it, then rearrange it, and then look past the illusion and then start planning on how, right? Working hard, turning things upside down, the image, you know, seeing it from a different perspective, but also can, highlight the importance of discipline, you know, um, but also, that generosity, right, with yourself and can create lasting abundance and supporting others, So, you know, because you're Capricorn embodying that leadership quality, you know, Spirit has, you know, maybe the summer there's an activation, but um, what we read about that, and then finding balance between the masculine and feminine, right? So you can come in with this king energy and be able to continue to keep it on your journey. Then the five of wands energy here is, there's always that conflict, that competition, right? People coming in, seeing how hard this is hard to do, right? But you made it look easy. So now people are wanting to take those, you know? Are you going to allow them to take it? The five of wands, are you going to uh, involve yourself in this argument? Is it worth it? Maybe something that needs you to think about. Sometimes we need to be reminded, before we react, right? And then the Eight of Cups, walking away from it, leaving, leaving, leaving it behind because it's not going to help you, arguing about anything, whether somebody agrees with you or not, you know, you have the choice to do and make your path. Nobody else is going to live your life. So, sometimes you have to walk away from those situations, and it's hard, and then the King of Swords here energy reminding us, you're the authority, of your life. You have the intelligence. Spirit is gave you a body, a mind, and he put you, on this earth to live and experience, to live and learn. Mhm. And so, what are you going to do? Then the judgment of the energy coming in, calling to spirit, asking for help when you need it, at realigning yourself, through activation, through the energy of summer and, you know, uh, prosperous, prosperity is flowing. Have faith that will receive it in the perfect timing, right? Trusting yourself, realigning. Then, when you do that, the world energy comes in, letting us know that we're completing a cycle or a cycle is coming to an end. You know, our achievements, our goal, we're gaining that respect, right? Then you have the Four of Swords energy here. Spirits asking you to heal your body, rejuvenate, maybe other entities are trying to get you to keep on going, but, you know, or want you to be part of this conflict here, and you're like, no, I need to take a rest. I need to do me time, right? Capricorn. And sometimes it's hard, you know, the Four of Swords, recovering, you know, taking time for yourself. Because then when you do that, then you have a better mind to have this energy, the judgment come in because you can be fair. You know, you can see things clearly, when you take time, when you eat, when you drink water, when you're responsible for whatever, you put in your scale, within yourself, your being. And then, but also remembering that you're not afraid to, use your sword too. So when you find that balance and stuff, the Eight of Swords energy comes in. Might be difficult, right? Because maybe Capricorn, maybe you don't know what balance is for you, right? Because maybe you're the type of person that is willing to take, and it's hard to say no, or that you're always a doer, and um, sometimes you take yourself for granted that you forget that you need to, you know, rest. So there's always that reminder from spirit. But then when you do that, right, um, it's hard to balance if you don't understand, what your normal ability of what is balance for you, right? So then you start having to eliminate making changes, and then the frequency starts shifting. Does it become heavy, light? And then it becomes overwhelming. It makes us feel trapped when we move energy in that way, when we're used to certain routines, with the Eight of Swords here, the restriction that we put on ourselves. Then when we allow ourselves from getting untangled from our own, boundaries and filters that we put, you know, the Ace of Wands energy comes in, the inspirations, those new creative ideas that you are are thinking about or are wanting to put in, in action. The Ace of Wands, a reminder, of the your fire, your inspiration, what makes you activate, what makes you want to carry this King of Pentacles in your, you know, uh, achievement, your accomplishment, your goals. Then you run into the Wheel of Fortune here, learning what the cycles are for you. Um, and, in the present and your life and your environment, right? And the world around you, you're learning to understand and uh, adapt, right? Right? Understanding the two spirits, the male and female energy, um, and understanding the cycles that they change through in your life, maybe, that's a kind of like a struggle for you in that, they mentioned the LGBTQ group, right? But also, um, respecting, you know, yourself as a as an individual and your unique characteristics, right? And then you have the Knight of Chalice here energy, and the Knight of Chalice energy is the energy that just, reinsures, you know, um, that you can reinsure yourself that your needs, are met, right? The Knight of Cups, this is kind of like the romantic aspect of the knight, right? The using your voice, your magician, your musician, the Knight of Chalice, your emotional, you know, connecting, loving the sheep here, loving yourself. And also, the Knight of Cups, is charming, right? Is uh he's has that energy of charm, as can see he's writing this here with his cup in the air and, his writing the energy, you know, here you're all discombobulated. You took one of those swords and instead of being discombobulated, you wrapped it, you know, went around the fort, went around, detangled yourself, and now you feel free, right? Like you have movement. You found justice in it. You took time for yourself, saw it. Um, then the energy of the star here. The star, healing yourself, right? Healing the Ten of Swords. Then, right here, the Ten of Swords, healing it again. So we have this here 3 times, So we're trying to really emphasize, this theme of pain that maybe you're carrying, betrayal, rock bottom, maybe, Capricorn, you put down some unhealthy habits and, it's changing you and your environment and everything and how you think, what you drink, what you do, and so it's just a lot of energy in that, and we forget, it sounds so simple sometimes, but it's a lot of energy that you have to put in, especially if it's something that can be addictive, like as simple as sugar, salt, you know, take those things away, for a week or two, it changes your whole frequency, and so this energy of pain coming in, that spirit's letting you know that you're healing, they're here, they're giving you hope, and, you know, you have to feel it, and that's probably something that you don't want to look at. That's why it's really here, that you have, and then you have the 4 swords, and this is repeating too, you know, really emphasizing that you need to rest, you know, and here the Four of Swords, you know, um, is probably like uh, really needing taking time, you know, for solitude, to really have that clear mental clarity before you move forward to any new, you know, forward with your new energy, right? Um, because we don't want to take the old, we don't want to take the old energy, the old focus. We want to embrace with the Ace of Cups here, the new emotions, the new beginnings, the new opportunities that are gonna, that are flowing in because we are putting in the work, trying to understand this journey that we're on. And then, you end your story off with the two of chalice here, connection, mutual understanding with yourself, your higher being, right? The the male and female of who you are, the transformation, Capricorn, the introspection, right? Fulfilling opportunities or, finding those opportunities of growth, emotional healing, and taking action. Um, so I would say that is your message, um, Capricorn. So, Capricorn, I hope this message inspired you, helped you in any way, give you an idea. Um, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. And just want to say, who's your nice clean? 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 Vilka här?